What is going on, everyone? The Houston Texans defense is something we are all excited to see. It will showcase new head coach Demeco Ryans, who will be calling the plays. You also have talent all over the field, from Will Anderson Jr., the number 3 overall pick in this year's draft, to Derek Stingley, who we are all expecting to break out in year 2. We are going to go over the starters on this Houston Texans defense. But before we do, welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calvillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content, so make sure you guys are following me on my Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm going to drop the links in the description below. And if you are new here to the channel, welcome. Just hit 7K subscribers, trying to hit 10,000 by the end of the season. Please help me get there, and thank y'all so much for watching today's video. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, head coach Demeco Ryans will be in charge of this Texans defense and will be calling plays as well. And man, head coach Demeco Ryans has already changed this Houston Texans team. It feels like we are going to become a functional franchise that wins football games, because when you really look at the situation that we are in, this team is rebuilding. A new rookie head coach, a new rookie quarterback, one of the youngest rosters in the NFL, but you don't feel like that. You don't feel like that because of head coach Demeco Ryans. It feels like you just came off of a successful season and not 7 combined wins in the past 2 years, man. If you had a chance to go to Houston Texans training camp that was open to the public, it was jam-packed, 100% capacity. The fans are so excited to see what the Houston Texans are going to do this year, and you have to give credit to the captain, man, and that is head coach Demeco Ryans. Let me know in the comments below how you guys are feeling about our head coach. Now, switching to who could be potentially starting on this Houston Texans defense, let's begin with the D-line. One of your starting edge rushers will be Will Anderson Jr., the number 3 overall pick in this year's draft. Man, all throughout training camp, Will Anderson has been in the backfield, has sacked Case Keenum, Davis Mills, CJ Stroud, and just has been dominant since day one. You saw his explosiveness on full display in week 2 against the Dolphins, where he obliterates the running back, still finds his balance, and then sacks the quarterback. That's the type of play that makes you the number 3 overall pick in the draft. And if Will Anderson Jr. is left one-on-one, he is going to be a problem. If you have noticed, all 3 teams, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Saints in the preseason, at one point have doubled number 51. Will Anderson Jr., man, is going to be special. And like I always mention, if you are a gambling man, you are putting $100 for him to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Starting opposite of Will Anderson Jr., I think your second edge rusher will be 4th-year guy Jonathan Gardner. And Jonathan Gardner is in the same boat as Malik Collins for me. What are you going to prove in year 4? You were drafted by Bill O'Brien, right? Coming out of Florida, Jonathan Gardner led the SEC in sacks and tackles for loss. Had a very strong year 2 where he had 8 sacks, and then this year was dealing with injuries. I think only played in about 8 games, only had 1 sack on the year. But now entering year 4, he should be 100% healthy. Jonathan Gardner, he has to prove himself for this Houston Texans team. It is contract year for him, and I think it will be a rotation of him and Jerry Hughes at the second edge rusher spot. But man, I hope Jonathan Gardner can go back into his form when he was in year 2, where he had those 8 sacks, because he was just beating left tackles like a drum. But we are gonna see what Jonathan Gardner brings in year 4 for the Houston Texans. Your 2 starting defensive tackles, well, one of them is the guy who you just signed from the New York Jets, Sheldon Richardson, and I think he is going to be a problem. He had a big play against the Miami Dolphins, a tackle for loss on a screen. He had another play against the New Orleans Saints where he was in the backfield and stopped the run. Coming from the New York Jets, where they play a similar type of defense that the Houston Texans are going to run, and he had one of his best years PFF-wise under the San Francisco type style of defense, man. He followed Demeco Ryans here. We gave him the bag. I am excited to see what Sheldon Richardson is going to do. Your other defensive tackle is going to be Malik Collins. Finally, in a defensive scheme that best suits him, he is going to have a chance to get to the quarterback and make plays in the backfield. In training camp, he was making plays. He looks fresh. He had dropped some weight, man. I wonder what this tandem of Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins are going to do. This Houston Texans team haven't been able to stop the run the past couple of years. Does that stop with this defensive tackle duo? Your two starting linebackers are going to be second-year guy Christian Harris, number 48. And Christian Harris has had himself a strong training camp, right? It's like every other day, his sideline-to-sideline speed is getting highlighted. He has had a couple of interceptions in practice. Your other starting linebacker is going to be veteran Denzel Pearman, who has become a fan favorite. When he is out there early at training camp, he plays catch with the kids. He has made plays, man, has a knack for getting interceptions. He had some all throughout training camp. One against the Miami Dolphins in the first drive. I think it was the first play of the game. Denzel Pearman, can he get back to his linebacker form like he was with the Raiders, man? I think it might happen here. The dude looks 100% healthy. He looks like he is chiseled from stone. And Denzel Pearman is very vocal. He brings so much energy to the Houston Texans defense. I think he is going to be fun to watch, man. This might be a captain for your Houston Texans defense. Going to the secondary, another potential captain, safety Jimmy Ward. And when Jimmy Ward is out there, the intensity is turned to 100. On the very first open practice of training camp, he lit up Dalton Schultz and got the crowd hype. He embodies the swarm mentality that head coach Demeco Ryans has been preaching. And not only do I expect him to be one of the captains on your defense, but maybe the captain for the entire football team. Jimmy Ward is that type of player. His partner in crime will be Jalen Petrie, and Jalen Petrie has had a fantastic training camp, has been one of the best players on this Houston Texans team. He should have knocked out that pass against the Patriots, man, was going for the INT. But everyone is expecting Jalen Petrie to have a Pro Bowl, all-pro type of year for this Houston Texans team. Your starting cornerbacks are going to be the number 3 overall pick in last year's draft, Derek Stingley. And Derek Stingley has had himself a solid training camp. During the preseason games, was not thrown at against the Patriots, was thrown at once against the Miami Dolphins, but that sailed over the wide receiver's head. Derek Stingley has been shut down, and he is one of the many players that Houston Texans fans are expecting to break out under new head coach Demeco Ryans and be a cornerstone for this Houston Texans team. Man, Derek Stingley, expect him to have a Pro Bowl season. Cornerback number 2 will be veteran Steven Nelson, who came into training camp with some drama. Wanted the contract extension, threw some jabs at general manager Nick Caserio. I cannot trust the MFer who was the sweater vest. But if you ask me, Steven Nelson has had one of his best training camps, if not, has been the best cornerback so far in training camp, even with Derek Stingley, because, man, Steven Nelson has been just locked down. I am excited for this cornerback tandem. Your third cornerback, slot corner, Tavier Thomas, who made the 53-man roster over Desmond King. Shout out to Tavier Thomas for making this Houston Texans roster. And 2 years ago, man, he was voted as one of the top slot cornerbacks in the NFL. Does he get that title back? This is a strong secondary for the Houston Texans, one of the best secondaries we have had in years. And overall, I think this Houston Texans defense, led by new head coach Demeco Ryans, is going to be special. You guys let me know about these starters. Did I miss people? Is someone going to be surprising and potentially start for this team? You guys let me know. And as always, for more Houston Texans content, come back for more. Go Texans. Have a very blessed day.